Hello, Namaskar, and a very good afternoon to all the viewers watching NCRT's live interactive session. This is Simran Singh, and you have all connected with us through eVidya channel number 6212. Besides this, you can watch our live telecast that we run throughout the day through diverse mediums, and one of them is our YouTube channel. As you all know, it is NCERT official. And once again, I would like to welcome all our viewers in the second day of our 5 days, 5 hours online training program on digital wellness. So, in this digital era, digital wellness is quite an important topic for us to understand. It not only talks about our life or lifestyle in the online medium, but also creates a balance between the online and offline life. Therefore, raising awareness about digital wellness is very important for everyone who is consuming even a little bit of digital space in this ever changing technological era. So, here we are with the second day of our online training program where we are going to discuss at length about the dimensions of digital wellness. So, before informing you more about the upcoming programs, an important piece of information. In case if you have any of the queries, anything you feel like asking us, or maybe any questions for our expert, so you can reach out to us through our contact number that's flashing on your screens. It is 8800440559. And besides this, viewers, you can also write to us about your questions at this mail ID flashing on your screens. It is training.helpdesk@ciet.nic.in. So, before introducing you to our expert for today's program, let us quickly have a glance at our computer screens and try and understand more about the 5 days online training program. So, all you have to do is you have to open the website of CIET, that is www.ciet.nic.in. Just click on events. Under events you will see that workshop/training. These are the options mentioned for you, and let us scroll down. Under current activity you can see it's the online training on digital wellness. So, all the details are mentioned for you. This is the 5 days detailed banner. So, it's the second day of our online training program. So, we are discussing about the dimensions of digital wellness. Yesterday, we had a complete talk about digital wellness, the policy perspectives, the concept and needs associated with it. Tomorrow, we are going to discuss about managing digital addiction. On the fourth day, it will be about ensuring well-being in the digital space, and the fifth day will be about a role of various stakeholders in promoting digital wellness. So, viewers, once you scroll down, you can get all the details, and also towards the later half of the program, I will be guiding you towards the web page and how you can participate and register yourself for the post-session activity, that is our quiz. So, certain steps laid down for you, we will be discussing about them towards the end of the program. But as of now, let me introduce you to our expert for the program. In the conversation, we have with us Dr. Lini Philip. Namaskar, ma'am. Good afternoon. We welcome you.
Thank you so much, Simran. Thank
Ma'am
you.
is a clinical psychologist from National Drug Dependence Treatment Center, AIMS, New Delhi. A very warm welcome to you, and without further ado, ma'am, let's begin the conversation. We understood about digital wellness. Let's get to know the different aspects and the dimensions of digital wellness. Over to you.
Okay, thank you, Simran. I hope I'm audible.
Yes, completely.
Okay, so thank you, Simran. That was such a warm welcome. And thank you to all the organizers and all the people involved in this training program for putting in all the efforts in helping the audience understand about this very important aspect of our lives today, the digital era that we are living in right now. And good afternoon to all the audience. I hope you all have joined in, and I hope you all will be able to learn some things about the digital well-being. We'll begin by understanding some of the concepts associated with well-being first, and then we will move on to understand how the well-being is transferred onto understanding the digital well-being. So many of you might be aware of some concepts associated with well-being, and then we will further move on to the digital well-being. What we essentially mean by digital well-being. Once we have done that, we will also talk about some of the aspects of well-being that gets affected because of using too much technology or using too much of digital devices in today's time. So this will be the outline of today's presentation. For yesterday, you had some understanding about the concepts associated with cyberspace, digital, what do we mean by digital technology and all those concepts. So today we'll talk about the concepts associated with the well-being of uh, being associated with certain digital uh, devices. For instance, our smartphones, our phones, even the internet, the games that we play on the internet, etc., etc. So I request to move to the next slide, please. Okay, so we'll first start by understanding what is well-being. This is a very old concept. This is something that many of you might be familiar with. What do we mean when we say a sense of well-being should be there? So, well-being is a state which is characterized generally by good health, when you are healthy, when you are happy, and there's a sense of satisfaction in your life. So, whatever you are doing with your life, there is a sense of satisfaction, a sense of contentment. So, we can say that you are in a state of well-being. So the ultimate goal of well-being is to foster a good life. So you live a life in which you live according to your values, according to the goals that you have in your life, your personal goals, your personal values. It could be anything, and you live in accordance with those goals and values. So that also is a state of well-being. Other way of understanding well-being is when we say that well-being can also be understood as a state or as a presence of positive emotions, when you feel the contentment, the happiness associated with living, and there's a relative absence of negative emotions like depression, anxiety. So we say that there's a subjective sense of well-being. You may also have a sense of fulfillment in life. What does fulfillment mean? Fulfillment would mean that whatever that you wanted to achieve in life, or whatever activities that you are doing in your life, you experience a sense of fulfillment when you complete those tasks. You feel that there's a fulfillment in those tasks. And lastly, it could be also associated with positive functioning. Next slide, please. So this is a very basic definition of well-being according to the WHO. It is a concept wherein the individual realizes their potential. They can cope up with the stressors of the life. At the same time, they can work productively and fruitfully and are able to contribute to the community. So this sentence in itself actually captures the entire dimension of well-being. So the individual is realizing their potential. They can cope up with the normal stressors of life. That is, in our lives there might be many stressors, and whenever those stressors come, we are able to deal with them in a better manner, or in a very adaptive manner. So similarly, you are able to work productively. You are able to go to your work. You are able to earn. There's a financial stability. You are able to achieve happiness in your workplace, and you're also able to contribute to your community. Well-being is an active process of becoming aware of making choices towards a healthy and fulfilling life. So it's not just a state, but also an active process wherein you choose to make those choices, wherein you can lead a healthy and fulfilling life. So it's not an automatic passive process. It is a very active process of becoming aware of yourself and constantly making those choices that will lead you to a better, fulfilling life. All that we do, all our wellness, our well-being, all of that is affected by whatever we are doing, whatever we are thinking, and whatever we are believing about ourselves, about the world, about the environment around us. All of them are interconnected, and all of them affect our wellness to a great extent. Next slide, please. Okay, so these are broadly some of the dimensions associated with well-being that we have already covered actually in the definition. So, for instance, there is mental health, that is the mental health well-being, wherein you are able to cope up better with the stressors. You are able to manage your emotions. You are able to manage your irritation, your anger, your sadness, your low mood. You are able to regulate yourself better. You are able to seek help. You Whenever you're feeling low or sad, you are able to seek help of people around you. You're able to seek social support around you. You're able to seek professional help around you. All of them are associated with a state of mental health well-being. And you're of course able to work productively, and there's a sense of well-being. Social health, on the other hand, it would involve being connected with others, with the sense that you are having a meaningful relationship with other people in your life. these relationships are satisfying in nature, and there's a good functioning in different social groups. So when this is present, we say that there's a social well-being of the individual. Physical health, as all of you know, physical health comes the good nutrition, the absence of illness, being in a good physical state is something that is associated with having a good well-being, a sense of well-being in our life. Next slide, please. So these are the broad dimensions of well-being. Now it is important to understand the dimensions of well-being so that we are also able to understand dimensions of digital well-being. And we are able to apply how excessive use of some digital devices are affecting all these areas of well-being. Next slide, please. Another important well-being is our psychological well-being. So generally we say in psychological well-being there are 6 dimensions. First is a sense of self-acceptance. Self-acceptance means having a positive opinion about yourself, accepting yourself as who you are. It could also include positive relationship with others, including pleasure and satisfaction that comes from close contact with other significant individuals in your life. Autonomy refers to the person's ability to pursue your personal conviction. So you have that independence that you can do what you want to do, and you are able to seek those resources and achieve a goal in your life. So you have that independence and autonomy, a sense of autonomy in that sense. Next slide. The other 3 would include some amount of environmental mastery, which means the ability to individual to cope up with the environmental challenges that are present around themselves. So all our environment is filled with lot of challenges. It could be in terms of people present in our environment, the stressors of work, and in today's time, even the digital technology. So we need to navigate our way from these challenges, right? So then we have the purpose. Purpose is very common. I think most of us understand the concept of purpose, the ability to find purpose and meaning in life. So of course, if you have a purpose or a higher meaning in life, the chances that you will feel a psychological sense of well-being is also very high, right? Then is the personal growth, the ability to realize one's potential and to work towards it. So you constantly make choices in which you uh, choose those options that will lead to your personal development or to your personal potential, and you're able to work towards it. So these are all dimensions that are broadly associated with psychological well-being in an individual. Next slide, please. Okay, so now what is important is that we how does this concept of well-being apply to our digital spaces? Because well-being is, if you see the older articles, some 30 years ago, the concept of digital well-being is nowhere mentioned, because most of them mentions about the mental area, the psychological area, the social area, occupational, spiritual. Digital area is something that is coming up very recently into the concepts of well-being, and the need to have digital spaces wherein the individual is also able to achieve their personal goals, achieve their life's potential, at the same time adapting themselves to whatever available technologies are there in the world. So the digital media has become definitely increasingly intertwined with our everyday activities, right? So it has the potential to impact us because of its usage in our life. So we all right now are connected to our laptops. Most of us have our mobiles probably at the side. Most of us have may have other uh, TV, laptop, other things lying around us, and they might be lying passively around us. Probably only our mobile would be the one that would be somewhat active while we are listening to this lecture. So it is intertwined with everyday activities. It's always present with us, right? So there is nothing inherently beneficial or harmful about digital media per se. So using technology, there is nothing beneficial, like purely beneficial about it, and there is nothing purely harmful about it. I mean, this is just a reality that we are in a space and in an era where we have to adapt ourselves to the presence of certain digital technologies, digital devices, the internet, the all these things are there in our environment right now. We cannot go back 30 years back, so we need to adjust to this environment. And most importantly, these things have actually helped a lot of us to achieve a lot of meaningful things in our lives. So it's not completely harmful in nature, and it is a lot beneficial as well, right? But because they are present in our lives and they're always present in our lives, that is why they also are an important part of our well-being. So that is why we need to understand the concept of well-being and then apply it to how we can achieve this concept of digital well-being. What do we understand by that? Next slide. Right. So we agree to this that there is a constant abundance of digital media around us. We have our smartphones, we have our video games, social media. All of them have become an integral parts of our lives. So we are increasingly living in a device dependent world. For this training as well, we are dependent on so many devices, so many technologies. We are dependent completely on it. And during the pandemic as well, many of you might have experienced an increase in use of technology. So all of you might, as students, you might have rushed to buy laptops for your online classes. Many of you would have had work from home, so you would have brought laptops and internets and Wi-Fi, something that was not very much actively a part of our lives. But during the pandemic, there was increase in use of all these technology, right? So the point is that with the excessive use of digital technology, there could be a toll on our health, on our well-being. Not all the time, not always, but when there is an excessive use of technology or excessive use of digital devices around us, we don't know how to navigate through them, how to use them mindfully, or how to even understand how they are affecting us. The chances that we might our well-being or our health to some extent might be affected by them, right? Next slide. Right. So now there is an unconscious and effortless reach out for gadgets, even when it is not mandatory. So this just shows that how much it has become a part of our life. So even while we are speaking or even while we are working, we are presenting something, we are listening to a presentation, there is an unconscious and an effortless urge to reach out for our gadgets. We'll just check our phone just to see if there is a new notification or not. And just to, and it is very unconscious, very automatic, and it's just become a part of our habit of our everyday life, right? So it is there in our lives. The devices are also devised in such a manner that it has the ability to lure an average person to use, to tap and swipe their phones 100 times a day. So the phones are also built in such a manner that we can actually uh, easily access them, easily use them with just a tap and swipe. We can actually open our phones. It's not a very cumbersome process in itself, right? So the impact of digital technology usage and well-being is to be harmful is limited only to small proportion of individuals, right? So everybody who uses digital technology, digital devices, is not going to suffer from the harmful consequences of using digital technology, right? Only a limited amount of people may experience the negative consequences associated with excessively using the technology. Not all of them may experience it, and it's only a small proportion of individuals. A large proportion may be impacted by some of the usage of it. Sometimes when they're using excessively, they may experience some negative symptoms, they may experience some negative consequences of using it, but many of them are able to navigate their way through this, right? Next slide. Okay. So, of course, this is something that I'm sure most of us resonate with, that there's a constant connection. The need to constantly be connected with so many people around us has led to this social pressure to be constantly in touch with peers. There is safety issues with excessive usage and overall decrease in mood and well-being. So once you live in this digital era, you have this need to be associated continuously with people, with your peers. You are always connected. If you're not connected, then it is seen as a problem. Why are you not replying? And issues like that. So it becomes a need to have this constant connection with so many people around us, and sometimes it may affect our mood. For instance, if you message somebody and they do not respond to you, so you might experience some amount of low mood. as to you might think that why the other person is not responding to you. You might become preoccupied with that when the other person is not responding. So this constant connection and this social pressure that might create some amount of stress, some amount of anxiety, and some amount of low mood in some individuals. Actually, in many individuals, it might lead to some amount of anxiety at some times. So because of which the digital well-being, it is a concept that is an upcoming intervention which ensures that one's mental health and one's physical health is adequate, is correct in an environment with digital abundance. So the point is that we need to have a good mental health, good physical health in a digital era where there is digital abundance. It's always present around us, right? Next slide, please. So what do we understand by this digital well-being? The concept of digital well-being refers to the optimal state of health and well-being that one can achieve while using technology. Something that we just mentioned, that you can achieve an optimal state of health and well-being. At the same time, you can, while using your technological devices, while using your smartphones, your laptops, and other digital devices, you can achieve a sense of well-being. It empowers us to take advantages of the benefits of technology while avoiding associated harms. So we might be able to benefit from the technology. At the same time, we want to avoid the associated harms associated with the excessive use of technology. So digital well-being incorporates that aspects, that you are able to benefit from technology and avoid the harms. In other words, it is also an act of practicing healthy digital habits. So you are the digital well-being also means that you are able to a certain some amount of self-control, settings limitation on your own self, practicing some healthy digital habits so that you are able to achieve a sense of well-being in this area. Now, if we try to understand how do we do that, it is simply by taking a mindful and a very intentional approach to using technology that supports our thriving and optimal well-being. So you just have to be very mindful, and taking an intentional approach means would to understand how the digital devices are affecting you, in which manner they are impacting you. And once you understand that, you're able to use the devices in a very healthy manner, in a very mindful manner, so that you can use the devices to achieve a state of well-being, to achieve a state of thriving, or you're able to achieve your goals basically while being present around these devices and the kind of influence that they have on us. Next slide, please. Okay. So essentially, what it means is to live a life holistically, healthy lives, considering all activities that involve the use of digital technology. It should Technology should technically improve our lives and not distract us away from it. Digital well-being, it enhances the use of technology itself to combat increased screen time by using restraint, and it promotes wellness by enabling productive and healthy lifestyle. So what it is essentially saying is that you're able to combat your increased screen time, you're able to regulate yourself by using some amount of control, some amount of restraint, some amount of healthy habits, so that you can have a productive and healthy lifestyle, right? So some of the studies, they have showed that increased use of digital devices, they are associated with decline in performance rates, has effect on sleep patterns, reduction in workplace achievements, and thereby hindering oneself from achieving their potential. And that is where the issue comes, when the digital devices or technology, it stops you from achieving your potential, or it hinders you from achieving your potentials. One is it that it may lead to negative consequences. At the same time, one of the negative consequences is that it will hinder you from achieving your uh, full potential, your actual potential, to live a life with a sense of purpose, right? So that is associated with excessive use of internet, or excessive use of digital devices, smartphones, etc. Next slide, please. Okay. So, what do we need to do to thrive alongside the technology? So, because the technology and the devices, they are always going to be present around us. So, what is it that we need to do to thrive, not just live, but thrive in this technology related area? Is that we have to enhance our skills. We have to learn those skills. skills in the areas that our digital behavior relate to, and that includes our mental and physical health, taking care of our mental and physical health, our relationships, productivity, communication, environment. These are different key areas wherein you need to develop certain skills so that you are able to navigate your digital behavior, so that you are able to navigate your digital well-being. So these are different aspects, different areas of skill areas wherein we can learn those things, right? There are various skill areas that students need to learn in order to navigate and thrive in their online world today. So for most of us, we need to learn these skills. We may not be aware of these skills. We need to learn these skills to navigate our world in today's time, right? Okay, next slide. Okay, so this is something that we have already covered, that balanced use of technology generally does not harm anyone. So we need to prioritize, we need to control, and we need to balance the use of technology with our well-being. Okay, so next we come to understanding some of the negative consequences associated with excessive use of digital devices on various aspects of our lives. So once you start using these devices excessively, in the sense that you are spending increasingly large amount of times on these devices, you might experience certain negative consequences associated with it, right? So we'll try to understand some of the consequences, negative consequences. Why is it a concern? If we come to why it is a concern, basically right now we are spending almost 70 minutes a day, some of the researchers have shown, on OTT platforms. 40 minutes average session, which means that when you're logging yourself in any OTT platform, 40 minutes is the time, average time that you're spending in that online session, in that online OTT platform. So with multiple users, when you're watching it again and again, so with, for instance, if you're watching a series or something, there is a multiple increase in the amount of time that you're spending on your screen. We are also using digital devices for our work, learning, entertainment, and all forms of communication. So there is an increasing dependence on these devices for achieving well-being in all aspects of our life. So we are dependent on these devices for our work, for learning, for entertainment, and even communicating simple things with different people. We are all dependent on these devices, right? Uh, some of the researchers show that there has been a 47% increase in data traffic since 2019, and a 96% of this was constituted by 4G. So a lot of people are becoming increasingly using the internet, especially since COVID. After COVID, people have been increasingly using the internet, and all of us are using 4G, 5G network connections. So that is an increase from the previous times. Data usage has also shown to grow up around 11.7 GB per month. So there has been an increase in the amount of GB that we are consuming per month. So earlier it used to be around 8 to 9 GB every month we used to consume, but right now, on an average, many people are consuming up to 11 GB every month, which is too much, because in technically in 1 GB you can listen to around 200 songs, right? And in around 2 GB you can watch at least two movies, right? So just this signifies that there has been a dramatic increase in the kind of uh, amount of time that we are spending on these devices and the kind of dependence that we have on these devices. Also, some of the researchers, they have shown that there is excessive use of pornographic content among the adolescents. This has been shown especially from the last few years, especially after the pandemic. Another concern is the rising mental health issues among the children and adolescents. After the pandemic, many of the people were using the smartphone devices excessively. And with that, there was a rising concern about the mental health issues of the children and adolescents in our country. Decreased life satisfaction and increased use and resulting stress. Definitely not just the students, the parents, the teachers. There was so much use of technology, even the devices, that it would have impacted a lot of our well-being, right? Next slide, please. Okay. So now we come to understanding the negative consequences of using excessive use of digital media. So the negative consequences means that whenever you are using a digital device or digital media, digital platform excessively, that is, you're spending a large amount of time in using a particular um, device, you might experience some of the negative consequences, and these consequences will spill over to a lot of areas in our life: our physical health, our emotional health, psychological well-being, interpersonal relationships. We might experience some of the consequences in all these areas, right? And often dysfunction in one area will lead to problems in other areas as well. So it's not very categorical in the sense that the physical problem is different from emotional and psychological. Sometimes they tend to be dynamically related to each other, right? Okay, next slide. Okay, so this is how most of our days looks like. If you travel anywhere, if you are even sitting right now, people around you, they're all on their phones. The amount of time that people are spending is increasingly uh, increased over the last few years, last decade at least. Next slide, please. Okay. So in the recent in recent years, there has been a development of new terms. Like many of you must have heard about these terms, like binge watching. Binge watching means when you are watching a series, at least 3 episodes, more than 3 episodes. When you continuously watch a series, we say that you are binge watching a series. Binge watching online. There can be something new term called zero inbox syndrome. Zero inbox syndrome means the tendency to read and respond to every message. So people do not like if there is any unread chat on their WhatsApp, unread email on their Gmails. So there is a tendency to read every message, and the inbox should always be zero, right? So sometimes it can happen even at night, which might lead to disturbed sleep, increased screen time. Similarly, another concept is of cyber violence that I think that was covered yesterday. Um, so we will not talk about that. Similarly, we have the tendency to check mobile 60 to 50, 70 times every day. Increased time is spent on the phone. 2 to 3 hours of productivity goes away every day. So this is, I think, commonly experienced by most of us, wherein a lot of our times is spent on checking the phone. A significant amount of time from our productivity goes away every time in just checking the phones, right? Sometimes 2 to 3 hours of productivity might go away because of that. Increased time is spent on watching devices passively. There is increased risk for obesity if you are sitting in a particular area and you're watching a series, or if you're watching a game, or if you're not doing anything actively, the chances that for increased risk of obesity is there. And for a lot of people, they might end up procrastination on important tasks. So you might be engaged in with the platform or the media so much that you might procrastinate on several important tasks that you need to do over the day, right? So it is very common when you spend time on your phone or with your digital devices that you forget the time, and then you forget that there were other important things that you needed to do at that time, right? Okay, thank you, Simran. Okay, so there is also increased sense of connectivity that we are experiencing because of the presence of these devices. We are increasingly connected with so many people in our lives. There's also issues with safety associated with the use of some of these digital devices. Even some of the children in today's time, even 6, 7, 8-year-old children are given phones for the purpose of safety. For instance, if they are going to tuitions, if they are going to school, or if they are going to other birthday parties, they're given a phone, so for safety purposes, that you should call me when you are leaving from there, or you should give me a call. Just for safety purposes, also these children are, many of the children have the phones, right? So there are a lot of uh, connectivity and safety associated with the use of smart devices. Right. Next slide. Okay. So we'll now come to the almost the end of our presentation, wherein we will talk about some of the impact of excessive use of technology on the children's academic performances, on their mental health, on their physical and social well-being, right? So if we try to understand the impact of children's academic performances, excessive use of digital devices is most commonly associated with poor grades and poor performance in school. So some of you might have experienced it um, in your personal lives or in your immediate surrounding, wherein if you are spending most if you might find that there are certain students who are falling back on their grades, who were performing well previously, but you may see a change in their grades, and you might find that they are increasingly using certain digital devices, or you might yourself see that you are increasingly spending time on the devices. You might not have enough time to prepare for examination. You might not feel motivated, or may experience some of the negative consequences, because of which your grades in the school might fall, right? It can also excessive use of technology can also lead to poor mental health of the child. It interferes with the learning of new information. So anyways, if you have poor mental health, if you are not experiencing good mental health, you are anyways at risk um, for not being able to learn new information. So if you have an untreated mental illness, you may not be able to learn new information. That will again lead to low grade in the school. Sometimes using technology for academic purposes might lead to increased distraction, difficulty in multitasking. So when you're doing academic activities with digital devices, there might be a need to multitask, in the sense that you might be using your laptop, you might be using your phone for Wi-Fi, you might be having your paper pen with you, and there are multiple things around you. So you might be distracted by these multiple things. Many students may not be able to multitask between those different things, right? Next slide. Similarly, they can be a lot of us can experience difficulty in learning the new technology and learn the actual task at the same time. So, for instance, you have to learn how to attend to online classes, online lectures. At the same time, you have to learn what is being taught in those lectures. So sometimes you have to put double the efforts in this, and that might make a lot of people anxious and overwhelmed in itself. More time is spent in learning how to use the technology. For some people, they might spend a lot of time in, or may experience difficulty in multitasking basically between these two tasks, right? Then is the concept of information overload. A lot of them might feel that every new material that has been posted needs to be reviewed, just like the zero inbox syndrome. If you have any material that has been posted online, you feel the need to immediately review it, or immediately open it, immediately see it. The fear of missing out is there in a lot of people because of this generally. Next slide. Okay. So one of the other negative consequences, especially for young children, young population, is the misinformation, the kind of wrong information that is available in the internet, in the digital devices, and it can also lead to early exposure to pornographic materials online, and as a consequence, or as another aspect, they may become victims to cyberbullying as well. And many of the children may not be able to report it, or may not be able to tell it to their parents, which actually makes the situation even more worse, right? So that misinformation is also one of the negative consequences that excessive use of technology can have on the academic performance of the individual. Uh, Next slide. Okay. So we'll come to the impact of excessive use of technology on the mental well-being of the individual. So if you remember, in the beginning, we spoke about different dimensions of well-being, and now we are trying to apply those well-being dimensions wherein the excessive use of technology might have an impact. Right. So there is a risk of developing depression and anxiety. That is something that most of you might commonly know this, that if you're excessively using technology, digital devices, smartphones, internet, games, the chances of developing a mental health disorder or experiencing some mental health symptoms, psychological symptoms, is elevated. For children with vulnerability, that is, individuals who have a vulnerability, a familial or a genetic vulnerability, there might be an increased risk for developing mental illness, including addiction. So, those who have already vulnerability, they may be at an increased risk for developing a mental illness. Uh, Definitely, this is something that most of us resonate with. There is an increased feeling of loneliness and isolation because you are spending so much time with the digital devices, online platforms, social media. There might be increased feelings of loneliness and isolation because we are not interacting with much with anyone once you are excessively using these devices. Right? Next slide. Increased difficulty in attention and concentration. Again, most of us are aware of this, that whenever you are using excessive uh, more of internet, more of digital devices, you feel that you're not able to concentrate on any particular task. You might have also experienced difficulty in managing and regulating emotions, especially the negative emotions like irritability and anger, which might stem from using too much of your time or spending too much amount of time with digital devices or digital spaces. Need to have digital devices in immediate vicinity. So, of course, there is a need for most of us to have a digital device in our immediate vicinity. Most commonly is the uh, phones, the smartphones specifically at night. The need is there to have those things in our immediate surroundings. So that might also actually lead to a lot of feelings of stress, preoccupation. Sometimes may also lead to low mood for some individuals, right? Uh, may experience distraction from phones while getting to know other people. So this comes like more of a social problem wherein individuals are always distracted by their phones and digital devices, that it might hamper them from building genuine social connections, meaningful relationships with people, because they may spend a lot of time with their digital devices even while interacting with the other person. Next slide. Okay. Some people definitely may experience stress from constant emails and digital messages, notifications during work. So sometimes while working also, you might get constant emails, digital messages, notifications from your workplace or from other places that might hamper your concentration or that might make you stressed while working. Some of the researchers, they have shown that in young children, excessive use of technology or digital devices, it can lead to low creativity. It can lead to delays in language development, social emotional development of the young children, right? Especially in the age range of uh, 2 1 2 years to 5 6 years, the young population, they might be excessively, especially impacted by the use of excessive digital devices from early on in their lives. Next slide. Okay, so I think okay. So the impact on social well-being, again, this is something that we experience when we spend too much time on our phone, excessively concerned with our digital devices or engaging in our digital devices, that you might feel it is very difficult to engage in genuine connections with the world, or you might even lack the social skills to engage with the uh, people around you. So because you're spending too much time with your devices and you're forming friendships, your conversations, everything are on your phone. So you might find it very difficult to navigate through the real world. You may not have those social skills. So sometimes using uh, too much technology or being always on the social media might have some effect on the social well-being of the individuals. Increasingly disconnectedness, lack of real human connections. So most of the people in today's time, most of their friends are online friends, in the sense that they don't meet, they just talk online. So most of our close friends with whom we share personal informations, with whom we share deep meaningful relations, most of them are online. Very few of them are real. We meet them in real life, right? Then we may also experience low self-esteem when we spending more time comparing ourselves with others in online platform, not with real family and friends. We are spending time with others in the online platform, and that might impact our low self-esteem, because that might impact our self-esteem because we are constantly comparing ourselves with the other individuals in the social media. It can also lead to a lot of negative self-talk and body image issues, right? So, for instance, in today's time, the feature of filter in most of our smartphones, it's so common that a lot of people are experiencing body image issues because they are constantly seeing themselves through those filters. Many people feel very uncomfortable when they see themselves in mirrors or in the photos taken by other people without the filters. So that is actually leading to body image issues in a lot of people, right? Next slide.
Ma'am, you are sharing certain significant details with our viewers, and I would like to inform that in the conversation we have the last 5 to 7 minutes left. So I'll have to request you to conclude your words.
Right. Okay. Thank you, Simran. Thank you. Okay, so this is broadly we are just trying to understand how using it too much excessively can impact our psychological well-being, in turn affecting our social well-being, and social well-being in turn affecting our psychological well-being. So, very commonly, you must have seen all these scenarios where family dinners, family when they are going outside, even then people are using excessively using the internet or the devices, and they are engaged with their digital devices rather than spending quality time with each other, right? So that is also another um, issue that might come up between family relationships, even between the husband and wife, when they're spending too much time on their own respective phones, not having any meaningful conversations or meaningful interactions with each other over the day. Okay. Next slide, please. Okay, so this is something that we have already covered. When we feel anxiety and stress when the other person does not respond, so we are completely preoccupied as to why the other person did not respond to me. What is he thinking, or what is she thinking? What is happening? So there is a constant preoccupation that can sometimes lead to low mood. Okay, so next slide. So physical well-being is another dimension that we discussed in the that one of the dimensions of well-being, which is very important, the physical well-being of of the individual. So because we are spending too much time with digital devices, the chances that we are not engaging in any kind of physical activity increases. So we are having a sedentary lifestyle, so which automatically increases our risk of various diseases like diabetes, obesity, heart diseases. We have higher body mass index, right? Some of the research have found that the radiation from these devices can be a concern for as a brain tumor risk for some children, first as a factor. Sometimes it also leads to eye strain and neck pain. I think it's in the next slide. Next slide, please. Neck pain, eye strain, these are all symptoms that we experience when we are excessively using the digital devices. Sleep issues are something that we are again aware of. Sleep issues and all these are very commonly experienced when we excessively use the devices for a long period of time. The impact on occupational well-being, we are very much aware of that if we are using it excessively, it might hamper our work productivity, it might hamper our work relationships, it might hamper our the quality of work that we are producing at work, right? Next slide. Okay, so this is the last thing that I think we can skip over it actually. To benefit from the digital well-being and to understand the digital area, we just need to have certain competencies or skills to navigate in this world where the abundance of digital technology is so much. So these are just list of skills that we should be at least aware of, or uh, at least know what these are. I'll just quickly go through them. Just read them. Huh? First is the digital safety and security, that you should be able to identify what are the critical issues while engaging in online data. Then the rights and responsibilities, communication. These are few things that skills are required for this, for navigating through this. Next slide. Then digital emotional intelligence, digital creativity, digital health and self care. Because of time limitation, I think we'll skip through this. Simran, do we have more time?
I'm sorry to say, but we have the last 2 to 3 minutes left in the conversation.
We'll just read them briefly.
Yes.
So there is another digital consumerism, digital employment, entrepreneurship, digital activism, and civic participation. All of these are basically emphasizing on the need to have the digital skills, digital well-being skills, so that you are able to navigate through the problems that might be associated with uh, using technology. So I think with that, I would like to conclude my talk. And the focus that we had for today's presentation was to understand that how the what is digital well-being, and what are the areas where the well-being can be affected due to excessively using the digital devices in our lives.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for connecting with us and sharing all these important details and the aspects or the dimensions of the digital wellness. Whether we talk about the physical wellness, the mental wellness, and the different sorts of digital variations, somehow it impacts our life. But it has to be really positive rather than turning out to be negative for us. Thank you once again.
Most welcome.
Thank you to all the viewers who have connected with CIET NCERT for this 5 days, 5-hour online training program. It's the second day of our online training program on digital wellness, where we were discussing about the dimensions of digital wellness. And tomorrow it will be the third day of our training program, where we will discuss at length about managing digital addiction. Very quickly, let's have a look at our screens in order to know more about our post session activity. So just have a look at the screens. This is the web page for this particular training program, online training on digital wellness, a detailed information of the topics that we are going to cover for the coming days, objective of the training program, and who all can participate in the post session activity. Now this is the program schedule laid down for all of you over here, and the presentation links, the video links will be soon uploaded. Let's skip this and let's quickly talk about how you can participate. Step number 1 is registration. Register yourself by clicking on this link or by scanning the QR code. Watch the live training sessions through the different mediums, be it NCERT official, eVidya channels, and the post session quiz link. The link will be added. It will be uploaded by 6th of October 2023 around 6 p.m. and the assessment opening date will be the same and the closing date will be 27th of October. So you get a lot of time to submit your entries. Again, we keep on emphasizing the area that your feedback matters a lot. So keep on writing to us through this Google form or by scanning the QR code. In case of doubts, you all know that you have to reach out to us through training.helpdesk@ciit.nic.in or either through our contact number. And viewers, in the diverse program that we conduct throughout the day, an important piece of information that is flashing on your screens regarding the textbooks of NCERT. So you can also read it from there that NCERT textbooks, they are widely available all across the country. You can place an order online. You can also download them in the PDF or the soft copy version. And in case if you would like to explore more about the availability of the textbooks or authorized vendors, feel free to scroll the website of NCERT, that is www.ncert.nic.in. Once again, thanking all of you for connecting with us. Do not go anywhere because next up we have our program of Sahyog, guidance for mental well-being and psychosocial support to all the students, all the viewers who connect with us. And viewers, it was the second day for the online training program. It's a wrap up for the second day, but tomorrow at the same time we will be right back with the third day of our online training program on digital wellness, where we are going to discuss about managing digital addiction. So stay tuned, keep watching eVidya channels. We will be right back within few minutes. Namaskar.